And hello. Welcome to Friday's off-the-cuff C-sharp hour. This one specifically put together by yours truly to refocus the Cassandra Schema Migrator, or as I'm calling it, the CASMA project, and get some focus around the actual coding of the project, where everything is. So basically to set level, or level set, however you want to say it, where we are with the project and how to get involved, what we're doing with the project, what it actually is, and kind of get it out this episode out as a starting point for getting involved, checking out, using, hacking on the project itself. So during this session, I'm going to break out. We're going to go through a few items of what I want to cover. And then if anybody has any questions during the session, I'll stop at multiple points and we can ask questions, talk about it or whatever. But also, I'll break out notes that I will post somewhere on the repo. I think I'm going to make a directory in the repo or put it on the wiki or something like that. We'll figure it out in just a little bit here. But I'll break out notes for each of the sections and the time point within this video so we can look back and use it as a reference for how to get started with the project and how to get involved. And of course, how to use the project once we get it to a buildable, usable, executable point. So with that, let's bounce over and take a look at where the project is. And let's talk about the project itself, right? So go out. I have it on GitHub. I just call it Cassie Schema Migrator. And this is the repo here. Pretty standard repo. Got a README. We have a build running over on Azure Pipelines. I have my Twitter accounts here, so you can bounce into either one of those and ping me anytime you want to. And then some good first issues. Right here, right now, want to get a logo put together, set up some basic documentation for the application. I'm not sure what that exactly entails. I would be happy to get some assistance with it. It's a pretty good first step, first issue to go with. And then also need to set up the outputs for Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. That's something that can be done almost at any time. Again, love to get some help on that. It's a good first issue to work from the build pipeline itself. And then I don't have to look at that a little bit more. But anyway, I'm making a point to keep a clean list of good first issue items to dive in with. And then the overall issues are here that include a bunch of everything that needs to be done. And then that contributors tag needs to eventually go to a page that will show more specific steps on how to contribute to the project and how to get involved. Here's our good last build of the project over on Azure DevOps. I may at some point use some of these other features, but right now just using it for the build. We have no pull requests, and I have broken out a project here to put everything that we're working on. Oh yeah, this is of course we want to get a table in the database for up and down migrations. But let's talk more about exactly what this application is designed or built to do. Open up Writer because we will look at some code. Yeah, so the idea is whenever you have a database, regardless of the type of database, and regardless of whether it refers to itself as schema lists or not, you have some type of schema. And if you have any type of structure to your data, which you should, high cardinality, low cardinality, whatever it may be, graph data store, time series, etc. You have some type of structure. And from a ongoing development perspective, it's nice to be able to have that structure be able to be rebuilt on whim, similar to how we use Docker today. Schema migrations are kind of that for the schema of a database. With schema migrations, for example, you could have your database set up to run in Docker, and you could start it running and have a 3-node Apache Cassandra cluster, for example, or let's say 5-node, because I don't like going 3-node. It's another topic for another day. But let's say we got a 5-node Cassandra cluster running in Docker. Okay, that's great. From an infrastructure perspective, we have the database, and it's theoretically ready to go, except there's nothing there. And you can't just start dumping data in, because you need to build some tables or some key spaces or whatever to put the data into. Well, with a schema migration, what we do there is we actually basically keep files for each change over the course of a project. So like, let's say we add a key space and one table. That's in one file. And then we add another 2 tables a few days into the project because we determine we need some more tables. So we add those tables to our schema migration CQL file list for Cassandra specifically, right? With other databases like Postgres or SQL Server or Oracle, you'd have your SQL files, your SQL files. And in those changes, you have an up change, which would be the creation of whatever it is that you're building, whether it's a table, an index, a relationship, or whatever. And then you have a down, which would remove that particular change. The idea is that you can roll all of the schema up to current state or a previous state, depending on which date or which enumerated value within the index of files that you want to execute it to, or you roll it down to a particular point to test, to build, to do whatever you need to do with the database. So that's the basic idea of schema migration. And with this project, what I'm working toward, the mission, is to build a schema migration tool in C#, which we have some initial work done for it already, is to build a schema migration tool for Apache Cassandra, the core distributed database that DataStax's Enterprise is built on. The Apache Cassandra element will, of course, cover the open source Apache Cassandra database, but then I will move past that, and we will work past that into the realm of where DataStax's Enterprise goes, which is into GraphStore, into time series, into analytics, into search, all these other realms of data storage, data query, data analytics, etc. When we move into that realm, there's other schema elements that need to be stored in the schema migrations to bring the database up and to bring the database down for ongoing agile-ish development practices, right? Because what the idea of all this, just like with Docker and the layered files and keeping it in a managed state where you can roll up your environment, roll down your environment real quick, is to keep your development environment in sync to particular versions of the distribution of your application and your application development as you move along. So the database stays in sync with the actual needs of the code base. You're not out of step or out of sync with what is being done with code versus what is being done with the data store. That is the entire premise of this whole thing. All right, with that explained, we can get a little bit more into the pedantic details of where we have been, where I have been in development of this, and where some of the audience have helped me out, etc. And we'll talk about where we need to go with the code. So, right now, the code base is in a state. I've been using JetBrains Writer on Linux to build this project. And I need to open it because I just updated it right before I started the stream. And let's get some note-taking going on. So these are the notes that I will post on the GitHub repo. I think I'm just going to put them in the wiki here once I'm done. So yeah, see, I have some notes here, so we'll have some more notes similar to this. Actually, let's see here. I'm going to move into this because I'm already logged in with this browser. All right, we're going to go over to Wiki, and I'm just going to take the notes in this interface. So let's edit this, and then what is today? Today is June 21st. Oh, that's not how you do that in here, is it? Oh, it is. Okay, notes. And then I'll come back and see if that's actually notes a little later. So we'll save this. Adding notes for June 21st, 2019 coding session. Oh, that's just, I don't know, that's some junk. All right, we're going to make this page. By putting in the name like that for Markdown, it gives us the ability to just create the page and start editing it. All right, first things first. We are... I'm always looking for the... What is the easiest way to get a timestamp on this thing? How long have I been running? Oh, here we go. 23 minutes. So at 23 minutes, we are getting started with this. 23 minutes. There we go. And then 10 minutes in, viewed what the project is from a domain and mission perspective. There we go. Okay, that's useful. This is actually at 25 now that we're getting started on this. So adding time points. And then click edit, go back into that. All right, just have a good save point in that. All right, 25 minutes. We're going to dive in here. Get into Cassie Schema Migrator. I already have it open. Again, using JetBrains Writer. Now, I would love if anybody wanted to contribute to this. I'd love to see what their experience is to use Visual Studio on Windows. So if anybody out there using Visual Studio would like to take a dive at getting this running in that editor, I would be very curious what steps they have to go through. Based on just simple documentation, this is supposed to be compatible with Visual Studio. As is, you should be able to open the solution file and everything opens no problem. But let's do what it says here, see what this is all about. But as I was saying, I'm not particularly sure as what other environments are like because I've only been using JetBrains Writer so far. I do intend to break out and use Visual Studio Code and some other things, use the CLI, just .NET CLI commands to do some of this. But right now, I've just been using JetBrains Writer. It gave me a good platform in which to just get started and move forward. It's here set based on the symbol naming in the current solution. Use default rules, clear. Oh, I will just come back to that. That's a whole bunch of peripheral stuff for now. So right now what I have done is so far I've created a few facts using XUnit test library to test my project here. And in this, we have 3 projects. And yes, I am kind of doing TDD, kind of doing integration test driven development, because I want to make sure that with an example configuration that this works okay. Here I've said show files just so we can look at some of the other things, but to go through what exists so far, what I have so far, we have test helpers, right, which builds out an environment of tests. We'll cover that in more depth in a little bit. And then we have the core tests, which works off the core, the test helper build out. And it goes through various things where it tests that tasks are listed, that files are read or viewed or found within the file structure that we've set in the configuration to look at to get all of our CQL files to do an up migration or a down migration. The core library has two classes right now. One is the file selection class, which basically goes through from the file system level. All right, so it's the OS level part of this process where it looks at a particular directory, goes through, and as you can see here, it gets the files, file names, and everything in that directory, looks through all those, determines by right here that there's a correct formatting of the file name. So it has a date, time at the beginning, make sure that it is a .cql file, and it makes sure that it has either an up or down designator for the migration itself. Then it builds that list, and that list is ready to process. And right now, that's the step that I'm at, is we're at the point where we're ready to start building the processor to execute these files. And that's going to get a little tricky, because how would a C# project execute CQL files? Will we use the driver? Will we use an executable on system? Most likely, we're going to go with the driver, because that'll be able to be pushed cross-platform to Windows or Linux or Mac OS. So that's what the file selection is. The migration path is finding the designator and building the schema migration path, as in like the pipeline path or the road toward what we want to build our state to with our schema. So that's what the migration path object is focused around. Right now I have an enumeration, gets the file details, the CQL in the file itself, whether it's an up or down migration, and the ordered date that the files are sequenced in. And here's the enumeration with up, down, or it's marked invalid for whatever reason. So that's where we are, where I have gotten to with the code, and I'm ready to move forward at this point. There's a fair bit of cleanup and other things that need to be done, but that's the level set for the overall project code, where it exists at the moment and where it is out here on GitHub. And then let's save this again, and we'll go look at a few other bits out here. So in issues, as I was saying, there's the Casma logo, refactors, these things brought up by Digital Drummer, one of our viewers. We need to refactor and move this method to kind of a schema migration task, etc. So I'm going to actually assign myself this. And then, let's see here, labels, enhancement, bug, duplicate, help one, invalid. We'll call it enhancement. That's part of this project. Oh yeah, we don't have a milestone right now. All right. Let's see, we're at 31 minutes. I'm gonna add that to our wiki actually. Doing issues and adding tasks efforts. Let's move store connection information locally. Look at that in a second. So this is some of the overall stuff that we're working on. So like this one here. So to be able to do, user wants to be able to do an up and down. Oh, that's for the table. Key space for use in migrations. User wants to process CQL files for schema migration. So it's hard to determine what even is the first thing here, because these are pretty high level. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's get into the code. Oh, did I close? I closed writer. Let's open that back up. Oh, I want that in the doc, and I don't want that in the doc. Okay. Let's run our test and see where we get with that. Run unit test. We have 3 failures. So, all right, get back over here. Let's make sure we're taking notes of where we're at, and we can break this stuff out after the fact. All right, we're going to start back into the code with debugging some of these tests. So right now, verify tasks are for down migration when down migration called. Verify tasks for up migration when up migration called. Verify tasks are ordered. Probably want to add pertinent functionality. Probably want to. I think I see what the deal is here. So, yes, these are not implemented tests because I left myself breadcrumbs to know where to start from when I return to the project. So verify tasks are ordered. We want to make sure that we get the tasks back from the list of tasks and that they are in an order. Now, as someone pointed out to me earlier, implementing a test for this is kind of redundantly implementing verification that it is in an order, based on, we're just re-implementing functionality. Now, what I'm trying to do though is I'm trying to re-implement it in a very distinctive way to make sure that I'm not testing the same way that I would actually implement it in code, but it would implement it based on having a real result known from the data. So I'm assuming that I already know what the result would be exactly, and that's what I'm trying to write the test for. In this particular case, we have a bunch of stuff in the test implemented in the test helpers. Okay, so here's the files that are being implemented, right? Or being created. And then here, all this text stuff is these 3 files are junk files that should be ignored. So if they ever get in the list, there's an error. But then we have up migrations here that are written out, and we have down migrations here. And right now, all I got is select asterisk from cheese. Clearly not a valid up or down migration, but enough so we can make sure that these things are retrieved, that the contents are retrieved, and that we can order them. So with that, let's actually see where we are. So with these files, I'm going to take this, put them in a text file real quick. Let's just do that in, my icons are getting all goofed up. Let's just use code for this real quick. Oh, that's kind of messy. There we go. So that's one of our files. Oops. And we got this one. Oh, I could do this, this, and this, and then replace that stuff with nothing. Oh, why is that not? Oh, I see. Oh, phooey, I ain't fiddling with it. Can't really see where the cursor is here. There we go. Rid of this. Oh shoot, forget, stop doing that shit. So this file and the SQL file and this one are not going to be processed because we have 4 downs and 5 ups. Okay. Now this one is, let's see here, let's order this. So this one would be last. This one would be, what was it? Yeah, 3. So I believe that would be the appropriate order of what we'd want. Okay. And then for the down, 1902 is definitely first. 16 is last. Then January, February, March, April, May. Yep. Okay. Files with appropriate ordering. I'm going to save that on the desktop just right now. Appropriate ordering of test data. Okay. So now I can get in here and we can get this figured out. All right, so all this stuff is added, and it's just in whatever order. Then the content is added. But over here, okay, first we create the test helpers, which builds our content, puts it in, wait, okay, and then, yeah, this sets the tests up with the migration path, and then the migration path is where the stuff is put, and then this result is the files to process. So files to process, and then that tears down the migration test. So we're going to get rid of this now. Oops, there we go. Then the files to process. Okay, we want to list, let's see, what is this? Files to process is a list of schema migration tasks. So, verified tasks are ordered. Okay. So here's a thing that can be an issue. So the tasks are ordered based on up or down of the task. So we need to have the up or down done first. When up migration are called, verified tasks are for down migration when down migration are called. So we need to actually implement these tests first. So files to, or let's see, we call this migrations to execute. That's what we should call it. Because we're actually getting back that migration list with the pertinent data. It's not just a file anymore at this point. It's the file selection item, but we need to ensure it's the right thing to process, that is. So let's see here. All right, migrations to execute. Oh, I just put all these right at the top. That was smart. Okay, we're gonna do assert dot something. Empty container raises single superset throws ends with. I could do a for each on each of the results. So down migration for when down migration called. Okay. So let's see here. For each migration in migrations. Nope. Migrations to execute. Do a thing. Oh, how do you do a for each in C# again? I've done forgot how to do this. Oh, I probably have to do var migration in this. Yeah. So assert true. Oh wait, equal. Yeah. Migration dot migration type is migration down. Is that what I'm doing? Down from my, yes. Is this saying the literal or constant value migration down should be passed as the expected argument? And oh yeah, of course. There we go. Okay. And then this. Okay, the steps we want to make, though, after this, let's talk about this for a second. So in file selection, I have all the files. I've got back this migration thing now. So we have all these tasks that are returned. Build the task and get the CQL to process execute. Okay. What calls this? I think this is what actually, this is what needs to exist. Find usages. Okay. Migrations to execute. Let's hear. We should do migrate in migrations to execute dot migrate up down. Right? So we should have a function like that, and it'll return the things that are going to migrate down. No, but that's... let's see here. How should this be done? So if we're looking at the migration path, so we mark it ready, so it's a ready path. Build a task and get the CQL to process and execute. And then over in file selection, what did I do? I said in schema migration task, get files. So that puts together all the keys that I need to check against, or the values that I need to check against. Then I check against them. And then I retrieve the SQL and I get the schema migration objects put together. Prospective migrations exist. Migration path. Okay. And then in migration path, then I have the schema migration task. I have an enumeration. And then I have migration path. Okay, so this is different. The task is the singular item that can be used to execute or act on. This, however, build the task. Okay, yeah, so migration path. Here we'll go. The enumeration. Oh, migration. That's what I need to do. Migration. So that'd be up or down. All right, so we'll call this migration path. Go back over here. Actually, let's see. Yep, files to process, migrations to execute. Equals new migration path. And this is where we can do this. files to process. And we'll say migration down. And we should get migration. And migrations to execute. In migration path, so that'll create the object and then say ready. That's it, ready, and then we'll do a public migrate. Oh, let's do this. Should I do it up or down at this point? I don't know. Oh, I noticed a couple things that I should have done, actually. This part shouldn't really be built until around the time to execute. But no, it does need to be done because it needs to be abstracted. Like the file layer stuff needs to be dealt with, and then the object just gets passed as is. So I do want to do this though, because then I only load the things like that. And then this will be migrate. This and public show migration path. We'll just call it show path. Or display path. Oh, let's do path. So I just put false in there for now because if we do try to do a migrate, it's going to fail, right? Let's go back over here. And okay, migrations to execute, migration.down, migration. Dot. Oh, this, we need to do this. And then path should return not string, but a list of schema, the tasks. So let's say new list of schema migration tasks. Boom. There we go. Okay. So that's going to fail, of course, because we should get something back. I believe that should fail. So migration type. There we go. Now let's run this unit test. Okay, that's going to take a second to execute. Build failed. I have to do the whole. just want to run this one test. How do I run this one test? Run unit test. Run unit test? No, just run the one. Here we go. So, but it's a debug unit test, and then run. Oh, I'm goofing something up here. Okay. Oh, I don't. Okay. Right. My goof. So I put that in the wrong place where this migration path just needs that passed into it, not the up or down. The up or down needs to be shown at the time of either called either via execution or via the show, to show up or show down or migrate up or migrate down. So where is my go-to declaration? That's what I'm looking for. So this does actually need removed from here, like that. That should work. And then should be able to call path. We'll do this path. Oh, let's make this. So I need a thing like that, but with gets and sets. Yeah, kind of like that. So let's do that. I don't need this. Well, yeah, okay, let's do migrations. Like that. There we go. I need to like pass those by ref instead of that way. But anyway, okay, so we got them in there. We'll fiddle with performance later. So that's going to move those in there. So we have a local list to deal with now. Right, and with that local list, we don't need to make that accessible because that's accessible in this object. So in this object then, we need to return migrations. Like that. What? Okay, what are you fussing about now? Oh, not new, just migrations. There we go. Let's actually go into these two tests, and I'm just going to comment them out just for now, just so we can run the other ones for a few seconds. Then we'll just get back to those immediately. Oh wait, how do I, dad burn it? How do you comment them? Code. Oh, control / There we go. Okay. So that part should be here. And then in path, we'll put in migration. Up, down. There we go. Okay. new. And then we're going to go through for and migrations. We'll do migration then. Okay, so this needs to be if m dot, what are you fussing about now? That's what I have, right? For each m dot migration type is equal to migration. Oh wait, what is it? Up, down, then migration path dot add m. In this context, this m could be renamed to migration. There we go. So migration path should just have the ones that are based on whatever is passed in here, theoretically. So let's get back over here and let's see if we get only the downs, the down paths. Build some more. Gracious bee. Come on. Again, I have no idea what it did. Come on, pop up. There we go. Running. Instance of an object. Line 17. Oh, so let's go look at this. Go to declaration. We need to do this. So migrations. Oh, that's why it's in the constructor, because it needs to be built. It needs to be instantiated in the first place since it's a list of object. Let's try that again. How do we do there? Did it run? My machine had a... Oh yeah, we did. We succeeded. But oh boy, did that wreak some havoc on the performance. So we'll get back to that. But we got the test working now. I'm going to actually close this down. Do a reboot or do a shutdown real quick because this VM is killing the perf on my machine here. So we're going to talk just for a bit here. All right, so the idea is we got the up or down migration going. We got the list working now. So I can add and fix that other test. And then by proxy, that third test, I can get that kind of wrapped up pretty easily too. I think we can finish that here in the next like 10 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes. And then we'll call it a done session. And then after this, what I'm going to do is break this session out and snag those key time points as separate videos to make those available on the actual GitHub repo. I'll just embed them as starting point references. Waiting for the machine to restart. Waiting here, still in the darkness. There we go. Should just take a minute more. Come on. Put, put, put. Nothing like a reboot midstream to give one time for a coffee break. There we go. I routinely feel like the virtual machine, even though it gives me a clean environment for this whenever, just does not quite restart appropriately. And then when I launch a certain amount of Java stuff, eventually it just nukes the memory in a virtual machine. Though that also happens with Docker every now and again, at least with VirtualBox. But then, of course, it's set up by default to be able to do that, whereas a lot of the others, it's not even set up to do that. There we go. Making progress. We're getting there. Nyan Cat. Go, go, Nyan Cat. Go, go, go. All right. There we go. That seems to have fixed up that. Famous last words as it all crashes. Okay, so getting back in here, we had this working now. So now let's do the up one. Oh wait, Control-Alt/, right? Boom, okay, fixed it. So we need these bits, and it's kind of a copy and paste test. So this is gonna be up, and we're gonna check it against up to verify. Of course it's gonna work, but both of these tests will work well through refactor, because if and when we have to add other criteria to pulling in this list, let's say we add where you can just enumerate the files. So instead of date, description, up or down, and then CQL, let's say we go by the first part of the file would be a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, dot, whatever the description is, dot up or down, then dot CQL. So if we change to that, these tests would still re-verify that we're getting the right amount of ups or downs based on the renumbering. We'd have to refactor some of the other tests, but right now I'm just going with the date element, and I'm just going to deal with prospectively adding the other feature to enumerate the specific ordering of the things later. Because right now my main use case is to put in the date, and the date can even have, if the date time is implemented the way I think it is, you can even have like down to the minute and second. So that way you can do multiple migration additions per day in your code base. You don't have to do like one per day. But right now, the date is going to work for the moment, and we're going to keep moving forward with that. So this one, I'll see if it works in a second, and then this test we can finally start working on. Oops, oh, there's slash. There we go. And in here, got weird stuff on my screen. All right, so get files. We actually want to do this. Yes, I know, evil, copy and paste in tests. It's a bad thing. To make sure, okay, we want to make sure they're ordered now. So, do I need to do it for up and down? I think I might need to do that. So let's go look at the tests again, or the list creator thingy here. So migration path, it's adding it if it's up or down. And then we're going to return, and we're going to do dot. Can I sort? Sorts the elements in the entire list using the default comparer. Oh yes, I have to create a comparer. What the heck even is a comparer? Oh, I know. Well, first thing, we go back over here. We know it has to come back in a particular order, right? Per the file that we created here. So for the up migrations, it's these. So let's take these, copy, get back over here. Verify tasks are ordered for up, migration. We're just going to do that for right now. I'm going to put this in as commented out stuff so we can just look at it. And we'll need to say assert dot, let's see your collection. Well, we're going to go by it. We're going to go by the manual list first. So we'll say is true. Oh no, true. Yep. Okay. So oh, not true equals derp. We'll do migrations. Oops. Migrations to execute. I want to do the first one. Oh, how do you get? I thought that's how you got a list item. Oh, path. Migrate up. Let's get this. Let's get this in a list. So what should I call this? So this is the files to process, then the pass files process in to get the actual migrations to execute. Migrations. And then I will do migrate up. Migrations. Huh. What a goofy name. So then we'll come down here. Migrations up. And now this would be index item 1 dot order date task file. Yes, dot file. I don't want the whole thing. I just want the file, the name. I think just name would be the thing I want. Yeah. So equals what? Oh, equal. Yeah. Okay. So let's get to this point. This should be assigned, so I should be able to look at it at this point. And then run all these tests. Oh, what happened to my... Anyway. All right, what do we got here? So... Yeah, clearly not the same thing, but it is... Okay, so that one will break. Exactly what we want. So now we need to look up... How do you make an I compare in C#? I don't actually know how to do that at all. So we're going to learn how to do that. Oh, that is starting. Okay. Yeah, this thing. Comparer. Yeah. All right, so how do we do this? What? Okay, this class is not demonstrated in the main method. It's provided only to show how to implement the interface. It is recommended to derive from comparer T instead of implementing iComparer T. So I have to implement an entire comparative thing to sort it. Why do you, let's see here. Sort a list of type C#. Right, so you take a comparer, you pass the type that you want to sort. But how do you determine? Crappy web pages. Okay, void main int list of this type int. GFG of GFG. Yeah, but mine's a complex type. It's not a simple int. This is the thing I just looked at, right? No, this is totally different. Oh, cool. Okay, let's look at this. All right, so we have part. Classes parts. We have string, int, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're going to have comparable in there too. Part ID is used to identify the type of the part, but the part name can change. So what we want here is, okay, comparable, equitable. Oh, equals, okay. I don't need to do that, but I do need a comparer to do this, right? Let's add this one on our object here. Go to declaration. Okay, migration path. Here's where we want to do this. Right? Yeah. And then generate relational members, implement missing members, delegate that crap to a new field. No, let's do this. There, what? Oh, okay, compare migration path. Okay. So over here, whoa, 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 what happened to... Oh, weird. That's in not the same, just go in the same browser. There we go. That's network 4.8. Maybe it works. References. List type sort method docs. Let's do this and this. Ah, well, okay, that'd be fine. Just put it down here. Oh, cool. Put a lambda in it. Oh, I didn't even think of using link. Crap, that'd be awesome. So anyway, going back to this real quick. So main, but where is compared to part, compared to part? Compare part. This is probably what I want to do. Or no, I'm definitely want to do order. Wait, where? Didn't I add? Oh, I guess I didn't add the. Oh crap. 1.22, 25. Figuring out how to use comparer type to get a sorted list of schema migrations for up or down migration to occur. There we go. Okay. Oh, of course, it's over here. Leave this page. There we go. Yeah, let's fiddle with this actually. I like this idea way better. So in migration path, if I go down to I'm going to take this contraption off. Where's the init? Oh, okay. Weird. Thought it would have added a call in here to do that thing. But anyway. So if we do list schema migration task, sorted migration path equals migration path at this point dot order by, and I'm going to do lambda magic o dot crud. Oh, I didn't type it. Oh, dot, not 0. There we go. Order date. And then close parens dot to list. Oh, that's so much more beautiful. And then I can put var in. And then actually let's return. We'll do this on the outro of this stuff. Boom. There we go. We don't even need extra declarations and stuff. So we get just the ups, then we order them. I think that's the last step. We're now ready to write the execution. Let's do all tests again. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. All the tests pass. 'Cause awesome. Yeah, okay. So we got all the tests passing. We have reviewed what the project is, what it's about, what schema migrations are, what schema migrations are about, what the focal point of the project is, where we are on the project, and we implemented some additional tests and implemented some additional functionality. So all that stuff is rocking and rolling. So now, let's see here. Let's do this. Let's add one more. Assert dot equal. Because let's say I don't trust this whole shish kebab. One, 0, 1, 2, 3. So 4, the last one, will be task file dot name as such. And then we'll have one more here because I just feel like it really needs to have one more just for confidence of the thing. I mean, it's gonna sort, right? It is. So let's hear 0, 1, 2. Let's go with 2. Whoops, 2 dot task file dot name. And let's see here. Name. Sorry, a bunch of messages popped up over to my right at the same time I'm doing this. So name of this, so that's 0, 1, and then this would be 2. Right, yep, okay. Let's get rid of this one. And oh, what the heck. This will be the first one. And then let's add 3. There we go. All right. Yeah. Now let's run all the tests one more time. Look at that, beautiful. Ordered for up migration. It is a success. And then let's see here, let's add one. For down. That, and then we'll do a throw new not implemented exception. This test is where we've left off. Verify the list is sorted for down migrations. And then we need to get into some serious stuff here. We need to do a public, whoops. This needs to be, whoops, fact. And then we need do another fact. We'll do public void verify. No, wait. Verify tasks are ready. And this will just be basically all of this. Up, down. we need a migrations to execute dot ready. Should be assert dot true. Boom. That one. We'll actually do a throw new not implemented exception. Test method needs implemented. I'm going to comment this out real quick. That exception will throw instead. Ready for migration execution. And then the other one, the next one up that we need, we know we need, fact, is public void execute migration. And this one's going to be a fact too. I'll do a public void execute down migration. Now this is where things are going to get very integration based and very not unit based, right? I mean, this is a unit of work, but since we're doing this at a systems operational level, unit tests specifically are a little flaky. But the up and down migrations both will need to have the actual database checked. We will need to verify that somehow. For this, remember, the database will actually need to be checked, i.e. Docker magic. Right? So there we go. That's where we're leaving off. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 new tests that will be airing out that need to be implemented. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here, and I'm going to use the regular interface to go in and get that stuff pushed out there into where it needs to be. So cd Cassie schema migrator, list clear, list get status, adding next steps of functionality. To the migration process. Get push. Wait, where am I connected to? Just one. Okay, get push origin. Or actually, let's check the branch. Have I branched? No, I'm on master. Okay, get push origin master. Boom. Oh, get pull. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I added the badges and I haven't pulled it back down yet. So get push origin master. All right. That's live. Let's go. Check it out here. Okay, all that junk not needed. Thank goodness. Let's do this. Whoops. Fake. No, we went with a nice clean lambda instead per this find. Go, and then if we bounce back out here, we should see. Has it succeeded? Is it showing the last actual? Is that today? Darn, that was actually fast. 37 seconds. Oh, you know what? It doesn't do the tests. Okay, so that's something else. merge branch of what? Yeah, that is today via just the standard old commit. So, okay, well that's good. The build is good. It builds. We know the tests run locally. I need to work on the build to figure out how to get the tests into the build soonish. All right, but that's for a future episode. We got all that working, covered the basics there again, and let's see, yeah, we did ups. So I'm gonna save that for future reference. And it looks like we've really covered a lot in today's session. We will resume next week. Actually, let's take a look to see when we're scheduled next. That's weird. There we go. Twitch.tv, DataStax's devs, events. This is the place to look right here. All right. Yes, the next one will be on, we got a killer video application development coming up today at 1, so in just a little while, just about an hour. Put a reminder on that for myself. Then the next one is next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Yep, so that's next Wednesday. We'll be back on our regular Wednesday schedule then, which will be super cool. And so I don't think I'm going to tackle the build on the next session, but we will get into code and we'll get some initial executions of a migration occurring. And then start working on how to integration test that with Docker. We use Docker for that for sure, because that's just going to make life super way much more awesome, easier for us to test that. And yep, that's it for today. So thank you, viewers, for checking out the stream today. I look forward to our next session and getting this code usable in production. It's going to be awesome. So see you next time. Until then, happy coding. Cheerio.